Hello folks, welcome to my YouTube channel, Watercolor Impressions. Last week I did a night glow painting. I want to do another one this week as well. Before you go, hit the subscribe button so you guys can get weekly video updates from your channel. And let's get started, guys. I'll provide the drawing template. Check my video description to download it so you guys can follow with me with this tutorial. As far as any tutorial I start, and I usually start with the same advice I do. If you want, go and check my previous video. I've talked about drawing, how to do it as well. And this painting is a little bit challenging for beginners because it might have a lot of difficulties in such a way that we have to plan the painting before. But being said that, sometimes it's going to just paint what you feel like doing it because that shows confidence in your painting. So I started with blue wash for the sky. Since it's a late evening, so the sky is going to be darker because there's a lack of light from sunlight. And at the bottom, you could see I warmed up the wash using cadmium red. And I'm also trying to create a gradient. And this is Winsor, this is Saunders Waterford hot press watercolor paper, and it doesn't have gives that little bit of good gradient in the washes. But since I added, so I keep it as a challenge, and I did it. So you can see on the left and right hand side, I warmed up the wash again using cadmium yellow and a little bit of yellow ochre in it. So this is what I talked about planning your painting before you do it. So this acts as a light wash, and these are the lights which I'm seeing in my reference, so I'm putting as it is. But when you paint any kind of painting you do, you don't have to be 100% accurate to your reference, and that will kill your painting process, and that will discourage you once you finish your painting and compare to it. And have some faith and keep going, and unless you see the end results, you'll be happy with it. And now I'm starting with the background. For the background, I want this to be in distance, and I'm using Cobalt Blue and a little bit of Cerulean Blue in it so that it goes in distance. And there's a building next to it, it's a little bit darker. So I'm doing this darker because I want the light to appear through. So once you finish the painting, you will see the glow will happen if we have a darker value in it. And you can see I'm also trying to plan it in such a way that leaving the white bits, leaving the light wash we did it. So it kind of acts as a light inside the building. And you can also plan it in such a way that you can also leave it as it is, but I covered it and I'm using my nails to bring some of the light back beneath it. And when you do all those painting or any kind of stuff, I've been painting for a while now, and recently I came to know that it's really imperative to paint confidently. So in order to paint confidently, your strokes have to be really confident. You have to be, big confident marks instead of dabbing everything. Being said that, still I'm working on my dexterity because it does take some time to work on your dexterity because to paint straight lines and everything like that. But sometimes it's really good to paint, as you feel, but making sure that the perspective in place. You can see while we put that warm wash, the yellow wash, now you can see as soon as we put a darker wash on top of the light wash, it's going to act as a lighting inside the building, and it gives this illumination outside the building as well. And after that, you can also put some lights on top of it, and you can also use tissue paper to make a glow out of it as well. So now I moved on to the foreground building. Even though in the reference you can see there's no lighting in there, but I'm just making it in such a way that it will be really good for composition element. It also acts as a really good lead-in for us as well. And this is what I was talking about, not being marrying to your reference. You could change it as it is, it doesn't matter until your painting looks good at the end, and that's what matters. Even if it doesn't work, you can do another painting. So the ground, it's going to be darker as well because since there's lack of lighting, but there's also lights from the street lights as well as from the car. I'm making sure to leave some highlights for that as well. But as it comes to the foreground I had really a hard time having difficulty because it is like having a darker reflection as well as lighting on top of it. So I'm gonna add the figures. I add figures on almost every painting I do because it shows a little bit of scale in our painting as well, and it also enhances perspective and depth in your painting as well. And you can see as soon as we add a layer of figures, and you can see I have a background figure, midground figure, and foreground figure. So that can act as like a layer of depth in our painting as well. And I'm also adding a kid as well, just to give a little bit of Christmas vibe, holiday vibes. They're going for shopping. And this is another thing I didn't know when I started painting. I just painted as it is, and I also learned that as a painter we are also telling a story, and we are telling our story in our own way. So you can see a movie and you can come up with your own story based on that. So that's how watercolor works. You take your reference and you come up with your own painting, and you express and your artistic way of showing your painting. And that's where impression comes in place, and a lot of the things I make it up and make sure that it works. And now I'm working on the foreground platform, and this is going to be dark as possible. And this is what I mean by working with art press. It doesn't blend the colors as well as cold press, and that's why I prefer Saunders Waterford cold press. And I also challenge myself using different kind of watercolor paper, and as an artist you have to explore a lot, and that helps you as well. And this is, you can see I'm also adding since my wash is wet, I'm trying to add some lights here and there to show the lights is illuminating from the top as well as from the foreground as well. So now this is the tertiary details, which can act as you have to do at the end, because if you do this at first you will be lost in details. So every painting you do, or any kind of painter you do, they work on the major shapes first, then the secondary shapes, then the tertiary shapes. So next time when you paint, this also helps you to break down your painting in simpler forms, and it also easy to handle it properly. So now it's a matter of fact, sometimes it's really hard to leave highlights as it is, because a lot of people frown upon using white paint on watercolor paper. But I do exploit the medium a little bit better. But I used to use gouache for my white paint, but now I started using Chinese white from the tube, because I want to be as authentic as possible using the watercolor medium. So now I'm trying to create a glow on my street light, because since it's in the foreground element, I want to create this beautiful element in the foreground. This is a really fun part to do, adding details in your painting. But the one thing which I still have some difficulty is like working on the major shapes, because the bigger shapes, if you take care of the bigger shapes, everything will fall in place. And time it noticed that if my major shape is not good, like how much details I add on top of it doesn't work. The painting doesn't work. So next time when you paint, focus on your major shape first, then focus on your details, and it will also help your painting to look better, and it also works as well. So this is I'm putting impressions of light based on my reference, and you can also put your own impression as well. You don't have to stick with this tutorial, and when you paint with confidence and paint freely without thinking about anything. Just enjoy the process, and that will make the painting look better, and that also make your painting process really easy as well, not getting frustrated while you paint. So I also use tape on my watercolor paper just to get this odd edges, and it also shows how my painting looks when it's framed. Now it's your turn. Take my drawing template and reference, and let's see what you can come up with. Thanks again for watching this winter night glow painting video tutorial with me. Let me know what you guys think about this video in the comment section. If you want me to cover any of the subjects in watercolors, write me at watercolorimpressions@gmail.com or comment below. Before you go, hit the subscribe button so you guys can get weekly video updates from our channel. And please do share with your friends and family. And good luck with the painting, folks.